Good morning, everyone, and Shabbat Shalom. This week's Torah portion contains the priestly blessing in it. The same priestly blessing that we recited in synagogues around the world yesterday for the holiday of Shavuot. The same priestly blessing that parents bless their children with every Friday night. The threefold blessing of, may God bless you and protect you, may God shine His light towards you and be gracious to you, may God lift His face towards you and give you peace. But yesterday and the day before, and in synagogues around the world, when we do the priestly blessing, the congregation adds a prayer. And this is based on what the Talmud tells us to pray for. We pray for good dreams. Good dreams for ourselves and for the entire Jewish nation. And the question is, why is it that in the middle of the reciting of the priestly blessing, the congregation prays to have good dreams? What's the connection between the priestly blessing and dreams? And one obvious answer is that the greatest blessing in life is to have great dreams. To have dreams for yourself and for others. That is the blessing of life. To always be a dreamer. When the Jewish people came back to Jerusalem after the Babylonian exile, we say in the Shir HaMalot, B'shuv Hashem et Shivat Zion hayinu kachom, and we were like dreamers. Because we never gave up our dream that we returned to Israel. And then once again in our generation. A Jew is always dreaming. But it's interesting that the word for dream in Hebrew, chalom, has 6 different variations of how you could take those same 3 letters and spell different words that all help us understand what does it mean to have great dreams. The first one is mochel. The same 3 letters as chalom spell the word mochel, to forgive. Sometimes what holds us back from realizing our dreams is that we're holding on to anger. We're not willing to forgive others. And that stands in the way of us realizing our dreams. Another spelling of the word chalom rearranged is chamol, which means love and compassion. If you want to dream for others, you have to love them. And furthermore, if you want to have dreams for yourself, you have to love yourself and believe that you're worthy of those fulfillment of those dreams. A third definition of a dream, if you rearrange the letters of chalom, is the word lochem, which means to fight. You have to be willing to fight for your dreams, to sacrifice for your dreams. A fourth definition of a chalom, when you rearrange the letters, could be the word lechem, food, which means sustenance. You have to have the skills, the knowledge, the abilities to realize your dreams. It's not enough to have a dream. You have to have the strategy, the sustenance, the bread to be able to realize it. And finally, the word chalom could also spell the same 3 letters, melech, which is salt. Salt represents tears. When we have dreams, sometimes we have to cry for those dreams. And we have to pray to God for those dreams. And sometimes we merit to see the fulfillment of our dreams, and then we have tears of joy. But most of all, melech represents the covenant that God made with the world and with the Jewish people, and that's why we have salt on the altar and on our tables. Melech bris elokecha, the covenant of the salt. Remember to have our faith in God, that God will make our dreams come true and realize our dreams, and that trust and faith in God will help us realize our dreams. But most of all, as we say in the prayer, may all my dreams for myself and for the Jewish people be for good. It's not enough to dream for yourself. You have to dream for others and for the entire nation of Israel. It's a story that in the city of Jaffa, which is an old port city of Jews and Arabs, there's a very famous bakery by the clock tower in the center of town called the Abba Lafia Bakery. It's a very popular bakery. There's always lines outside the door. And this is owned by a Muslim family, but yet they close for the 7 days of Passover. And the question is, why do they close on Passover if they're Muslim? And the answer goes back to when the bakery was founded by the great-grandfather Said Abu Lafa in the 1960s. And there was a Jew, a Vishnitz Chassid, who would walk by the bakery on Passover and see Jews lining up to buy bread because it was the only bakery open in Jaffa, an Arab bakery, and Jews that didn't keep Passover would go buy bread there. And it bothered this Vishnitz Chassid. His name is Shlomo Zalman Streibler. So Shlomo Zalman went to the owner Said Abu Lafia and said, how much do you make during the week of Passover? And he told him how much he earns. And he said, I'll pay you that amount of money to close for Passover. And he said, I'll be delighted to close. I could use a vacation and I'll get paid. And so he did this 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. After 5 years of doing this, Sa'id Abulafia, the Arab, says to him, "You don't have to pay me this year." He says, "Why not?" He says, "Because I was very blessed. My business was very successful this year, and I made more money than I would have made being open over Passover, and I believe God blessed me, and therefore I received this extra money, and I don't need to be paid by you." And from that year on, Shlomo Zalman Stobler never had to pay him again. But every year, Sa'id Abulafia closed his bakery. 60 years later, Sa'id has long passed on, and Shlomo Zalman, the Vizhnitz Chassid, has long passed on, but the bakery, who's now run by his great-grandchildren, still closes for the 7 days of Passover in Israel. This is a Jew who didn't just dream for himself. He dreamed for the Jewish people. And when you dream for the Jewish nation, then God, like in the priestly blessings, blesses you to realize all of your dreams for protection, for light, and for peace, for the nation of Israel and for all of humanity. Have a wonderful day. Shabbat Shalom.